going and show you have our discussion about safety. We know that that's a hot topic going around the state right now, especially with the tragic events from last spring. And we'll get to those and try to answer the questions that were previously submitted, as well as try to add some more information in there and give you some resources. The PowerPoint we're using will be placed upon the website where you have access to it. We have many hyperlinks within the PowerPoint presentation that will allow you to access not only Alvin ISD resources, but to some state and local resources as well. If you have questions, there's some hotlines in there, some numbers to call, where to go for information, but also other services provided. As you can see, I do have with me is Miss Rives introduced Chief Putnell of our police department, Captain Fontenot of our police department, Trent Thrasher and Tammy Taylor of the safety administrative services. Also Lakeisha Holloway. Thought I updated that screen, but it didn't take, I guess. Dr. Holloway's here with us as well. And then Matt DeVoe, who is over all of our support services in the district. So, yeah, first thing I want to do there, sorry about the hopping around a little bit. Before we get into all those stuff, I want to touch briefly on infectious diseases. Most notably is COVID has been with us for the last couple of years, but we have some other strands of things that are out there. As we move into this year, we're looking at COVID within our infectious disease portion of our planning. We have an emergency operation plan, and infectious disease is part of that. As you can see that we still ask all students to do a self-screening daily prior to coming to school. We're looking for those symptoms, fever and nausea and things like that, just anything that shows that they're unwell, and take the proper precautions there. We continue to practice hygiene of washing our hands and covering our mouth when we cough and things along those lines, and wash our hands frequently throughout the day, even while we're at school. If a student is symptomatic while at school, we're going to send that student to the nurse, and he or she, while they're in the nurse's clinic, we're going to ask them to wear a mask, so that in clinic until we can identify. Then our medical professional, our school nurses on each campus, will then be working with that student and the parent to determine what their course of action is going forward. If we send a kid, one of your student home with you due to symptoms, we do encourage you to get them tested to see if it is COVID or not, and then we'll work with you through the 5-day period from the onset of symptoms and see where that works with you. We'll still be reporting, as we do with all of our communicable diseases, to the county and the state level. As you can see, CDC just up, you can see the hyperlinks at the bottom of the page in this PowerPoint. All the hyperlinks are in that color. There's a link to our district health plan, and also to the TA guidance, which really hasn't been updated over the spring semester. But then there are also the most recent CDC guidance is contained in there, which the Center for Disease Control did update this information within the last couple of weeks. So there's some new information there. Really, they're focusing on communities with high risk or high levels of transmission. We're not in that situation right now, but we'll continue to monitor that. But I want to touch on that bit first, and now we're going to move on to the rest of our presentation about our emergency operation planning. And from there, I'm going to turn it over to Matt DeVoe, our Executive Director of Support Services.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Parent University. Today I'm going to talk about our emergency operations plan. Please keep in mind we're not able to share the entire plan due to some of it being of sensitive nature, but we will try and give you a snapshot of what we do. And if you wanted to use the hyperlink, you can use the base plan template that goes directly to the Texas State Safety Center, and that gives you an idea of how to set up a emergency operations plan. We have a lot of links from the Texas State Service Center. One of the links that we're able to adopt is the Standard Response Protocol. Standard Response Protocol is similar to that of a fire drill. It has a series of actions that we request of a student or a teacher or an administrator or a staff member to act in a school in the event we have something happen. There's hold, secure, lockdown, evacuate, and shelter. And all of those descriptions are in the hyperlink for the base plan template. We go through those drills throughout the year, similar to a fire drill, as I stated before, and we're able to prepare our staff and students for an issue that may come to fruition. Parents will certainly be included in these communications on a campus level. So if in the event we have one of these issues on the campus at any given time, communications will be given out to teachers, or not teachers, I'm sorry, to parents, and they're going to be kept in the loop. We have standard reunification methods as well, and we also hold strong to a see something, say something protocol. We encourage all of our staff and students to mention if they see something, to say something, and that seems to work out. We've inspected and verified from a maintenance and operations perspective all of the physical security systems and made several upgrades as needed throughout the year. We've used capital dollars to fulfill those requests, and we're ready to start our school year. One of the state legislature actions was Senate Bill 11. We were able to create a lot of great documents and committees from these actions. And we have, it requires public schools to conduct behavioral threat assessments and collect relative data subject, but not limited to active shooters, multi-hazard emergency operation procedures, campus drills, trainings for police officers, and the creation of communities and committees. In the summer of 22, we did a lot of updating to our processes and protocols. One of these updates was the requirement of a partial campus safety audit. It's a 50-question questionnaire, and half of it is in response to campus procedures. The other half is regarding our physical plan. In addition to that, we have utilized a companion guide to reflect and consider the effectiveness of all the approaches to our school safety, and we're able to make those adjustments and report them to the state. We've also been able to do an external door audit. Back in June, as soon as school let out, we visited every exterior door at every campus, and we made sure that the door was functioning as the manufacturer built the components of that door, and we were able to complete that by the start of school tomorrow. All of this information ends up going to the state. In the beginning of September, we're going to be giving that over to the state, and they'll be having it on record. And then in October, we're going to be uploading all of our emergency operations procedures and the annexes to the Texas State Safety Center. Also, on a tri-annual comprehensive basis, in April of 2023, we're going to be doing our tri-annual audit conducted by an outside company, Edwards Risk Management. It's kind of like a home inspection for your house. When you go around and you paint your windows and your windows are painted shut, it's to identify these key areas of repair that are needed and things that we need to do to enhance our school. Alvin Independent School District continues to take safety and security very seriously. I'll now turn it over to Captain Chad Fontenot, and he'll be talking about the next section.
Thank you, Matt. My name's Chad Fontenot, and I'm going to be going over some of the safety operations. Just a second. First, I want to talk about the capabilities of our classrooms. Every classroom has a classroom phone in it. All staff are trained on those and teachers. Capability of that phone is that it allows the teacher or anyone in that classroom to call 911 directly from the classroom. They no longer have to go through the front office. Another unique capability about these phones is the teachers are able to, they can initiate a lockdown from that classroom, as well as calling for assistance. So we enable any of our staff in the event of a critical incident to be able to initiate a lockdown. Substitute teacher emergency procedures. The district has gone through great lengths through its compliance training and other things that all staff members are trained in emergency procedures in the event of a critical incident. Drills. Historically, schools would only do fire drills. The standard response protocol that we adhere to goes over the guidelines of secure, which is where a threat is outside, lockdown, where a threat may be inside, hold, that could be just a simple medical emergency in a hallway where we need to hold the kids where they are, down to evacuate and shelter in place, and those could be for weather events or what have you. The schools all drill on these throughout the year. Next up is CRACE training. CRACE is civilian response to an active shooter event. We want to train our staff as well as the public. This year we have 2 separate trainings that are available to the public. They're on the website, but this class basically just teaches you procedures that can help you in the event of an active shooter. Stop the bleed. All staff are trained on Stop the Bleed. Every campus has Stop the Bleed kits. And then additionally, AEDs are located in all the campuses. The SRP, EOP staff training, again, that's something we're through beginning of year compliance training, and all new staff have to go through these measures. The police department, with all of our officers, we do a variety of training throughout the year, including youth mental health first aid, nonviolent first aid, de-escalation, crisis intervention, alert training, which is active shooter training, as well as other types of force on force active shooter training, and as well as solo officer engagement. For officers who are on campuses, and every campus has a police presence, our officers are trained on solo officer engagement. We are not waiting for outside officers to come in. So that's all I have. I'm going to pass it off to the next person. Thank you all very much. Tammy Taylor.
Thank you, Captain Fontenot. Next up is the student welfare. There's a link there for AISD mental health resource. That link provides a lot of information for families to seek resources in time of crisis. We would also encourage you to contact your campus to speak with a counselor to visit about any issues that your students may be having. It's important to speak up, which brings me to the next bullet point, Crime Stoppers. Alvin ISD Campus Crime Stoppers has been very successful over the years in solving hundreds of crimes. It's promoted throughout the district by 13 facilitators, and there are 6 ways to report for students. They can also remain anonymous. 3 of those obviously would be to contact any principal, police officer, or teacher. The link that's provided there below goes to the Brazoria County Crime Stoppers. The Alvin ISD Campus Crime Stoppers is funded by Brazoria County Crime Stoppers. They are very generous in providing the monies that we pay our students and all crimes can be reported, including any threats of violence, crimes on school campuses, and anything that can cause harm to someone, and that includes weapons. Brazoria County Crime Stoppers, Alvin ISD Campus Crime Stoppers will pay up to $1,000 for recovery of a firearm on campus. I'm going to turn this over to Trent Thrasher.
Good morning, everyone. I want to talk to y'all for a minute following along on the slides about bullying. Bullying is something that we take very seriously in Alvin ISD. As you can see, there are links to our guidance that we use through the Texas School Safety Center, and there's also a reporting link. You can report through the website of any school. There is a link to the website on every school in our district to report bullying. Bullying is something that, like I said, we take seriously, and it is handled at the campus level. So if you're having issues with that, please contact your school administration and encourage your students to talk to their teachers. There's also some other links that are available on this presentation. There's one for behavioral health, character development, and Alvin ISD resources. These are going to show the pathways that we use to address these issues, and there's information for you as a parent. There's also information about tobacco and vaping. I know that's a hot topic. You know, school is a tobacco-free and vape-free zone. So please talk with your kids about the dangers of this and let them know that school is not a place for this to happen or occur. We do have drug prevention resources offered through BACODA, and you can access that information there on the link on the website in this presentation. We mentioned threat assessment earlier. Each campus has a threat assessment team, and we do take threats very seriously. But like Chief said, you know, we want to evaluate the threat, and if it is a credible threat, we're going to get law enforcement involved. Like the student that said they're going to bring a lava bomb to school. You know, if it's not a realistic threat, we're going to evaluate that, and there will be some communication and teaching done with that. But a kid is not going to bring a lava bomb. They don't exist. So we're gonna address those as they come individually. We talked a little bit about emergency communication process and the standard reunification method. Parents, I would please, if you could, make sure that you are part of the Sky Alert system in Skyward. Make sure your information is up to date, both your phone number and your email. If we do have a true emergency at a campus, communication is going to be sent through Sky Alert primarily. And we want to make sure that we have your correct information so that we can keep you in line as far as things that are happening there at the campus. It'll probably go out through email, auto calling, and we also have the auto text feature too. And once again, please follow along all Alvin ISD social media. There are links to your specific campuses on the campus website with Twitter and things along those lines. I'm going to turn it over now to the chief, and he's going to talk about Alvin ISD police processes.
Thank you, Trent. Again, my name is Mike Putnell, and I'd like to speak to you a little bit about the police department and how we do some things. Of course, our district, we now have 4 comprehensive high schools. Each high school and their respective feeder patterns are supervised by a sergeant. Each high school has a corporal assigned to it, and each of our high schools have multiple officers assigned to it. All of our campuses have a law enforcement presence. It's our law enforcement presence is supplemented on the elementary campuses by contract officers. I think we have a list of approximately 85 contract officers. Those are officers from surrounding agencies that enhance our security efforts on those elementary campuses and some special events like varsity football games. They're in addition to our law enforcement coverage. We do have elementary patrol officers that they're tasked with doing nothing but going from elementary campus to elementary campus. And in addition to into just responding to calls for service and developing, appropriate relationships with students and staff and collaborating with staff to ensure a safe and secure environment. These guys do security audits. They all day long, they're on the campuses. We're shaking doors and we're checking perimeters and we're ensuring staff have their ID cards. Last year alone, we did approximately 1,900 security audits on our campuses, and that's something that we've found effective and will continue to do it. Our Captain Fontenot mentioned solo officer engagement training. We've heard from recent events, we've heard a lot about alert. That's advanced law enforcement rapid response training, which is excellent training. It's great tactics, great team tactics for responding to an active threat. We have approximately 5 or 6 certified alert instructors within the police department. We also have 7 certified solo officer engagement instructors. And we recognize that as good as alert is, that if we were to have a critical event, we have to be prepared that there may just be one officer on that part of the building or one officer in that building. And we're not waiting for backup. They're not waiting for a team. They're not waiting for permission. They're not waiting for keys. They're not waiting for shields. They're not waiting for SWAT. If there's an active threat, our officers know that their task, and they've accepted this responsibility. They accept the risk, and they're prepared. If we have an active threat, they're going to respond. They're going to identify the threat. They're going to neutralize the threat. And we're going to isolate the threat. So that solo officer engagement is something we've been promoting for years. Is not in response to any recent events. We've been doing alert training and solo officer engagement for several years now, and we heavily invested in equipment to do it. And that's something we emphasize every year. Just last week alone, we spent 3.5 days on one of our campuses, actually between 2 or 3 campuses, emphasizing that solo officer response training. And during the course of that training, each officer probably practiced 60 solo room entries. And during the course of that, we have, as a part of the simulation training, we have role players, we have bad guys, we have shoot, don't shoot scenarios. So something we feel is very important to protect our students and staff. It's something we've emphasized for years and something we're going to continue to emphasize. Our dispatch coordinated patrol and response. Alvin SD Police Department, we have our own dispatch center. It is not a 911 center, but internally, any phone from the district who dials 811 can get our dispatch service. And they dispatch our officers throughout the district. From any phone within the district, as Captain Fontenot mentioned, you can dial 911, and that 911 will get the local agency responding. So depending upon the situation, the circumstance, teacher or staff may be dialing 811 or 911. I mentioned the contract officer augmentation. I said we continue to emphasize that, and it is a advisable program, and so we'll continue to maintain that into the future. Crossing guard monitors. We all know, we have multiple crossing guards in the district where we want to expand their duties once they get off crossing guard duty or before they come on duty in the afternoons. We're asked for volunteers among the crossing guards to see if they can assist us with being monitors on some of our campuses. And so we're going to pilot that program. We're going to see what it looks like in the next couple of days, and we'll continue to modify and expand that program as necessary. Local agency familiarization ongoing. We routinely have meetings with our law enforcement partners of overlapping jurisdiction. I think on October 14th, we're having some training that emphasizes our solo officer engagement. In addition, Captain Fontenot is heading up a program where we are trying to ensure that our local partners have key card access to get into our schools. All our police officers, with proximity cards, we can get into all doors that are outfitted with it, but our local agencies can't. If we were to go into a lockdown, all the exterior doors are unlocked and even overrides any and all other staff prox cards. So we want to make sure that local law enforcement partners, they have that ability, just like the Alvin ISD Police Department does, to get into any building during any crisis. The next bullet point, Department of Homeland Security Haystacks program. That is a program that was created in the aftermath of 9/11. It's funded by the Houston Area Initiative and Department of Homeland Security. That is a database where we can share our critical information to our local partners, and not just law enforcement, but EMS and fire department, etc. It's we choose who has access to it. It's designed beyond law enforcement. It's designed to be just beyond law enforcement, like petrochemical industry may have their facilities in it. Within that system, we have all of our floor plans for all of our campuses. So if Pearland PD, Alvin PD, if we have an event on a campus within their jurisdiction, they can access our floor plans. They can access it on a laptop computer. They can access it on their phone if they're subscribing to Haystacks and have their login information. I think it's a valuable program in the event of a critical incident, because we can share critical information in real time. Trained investigators. We a typical investigation for within the district. I supervised detectives for 11 years in the agency from which I retired. When we're investigating an allegation of a criminal offense, we are the fact gatherers. We're the fact finders. We're not the arbiters of justice. We don't decide what charge will be filed or won't be filed. We're trying to identify evidence. We will interview witnesses. We're going to interview victims. We're going to interview suspects. So we're going to look at surveillance cameras. We're going to look at our body camera video. If whatever evidence we can put together, we will, if it's of a felony nature, we will present that case. We'll present that evidence to the district attorney's office. District attorney's office will, more than likely, if it's of felony nature, they're going to refer it to a grand jury, and a grand jury is going to decide whether they're going to indict or not indict. It's a true bill or a no bill. Let's say those decisions are not ours to make. Whether a case is prosecuted or not, that's the district attorney's office, and oftentimes it's the grand jury. The case is being presented to a grand jury from an assistant DA. Typically, depending on the nature of the case, we are notifying all outside parties as necessary. If it requires a CPS referral, we're making that notification. If it requires a referral to medical professionals, we're doing that. If it requires, and oftentimes, depending on the nature of the case, we'll make a referral to the Child Advocacy Center, where we're dedicated and trained forensic interviewers are interviewing the child. And let's say, and last, we'll make whatever referrals to labs to analyze evidence. And lastly, we make that referral to the DA's office. Missouri County DA and county juvenile dispositions. I may have just touched on that. It's generally if it's a misdemeanor, we don't have to make that notification to the DA's office. But anything that's of a felony nature, we're consulting and collaborating with the district attorney's office. The CRACE training, I think Captain Fontenot touched on that. We have offered CRACE training. All new employees are subject to CRACE training. We offer CRACE training to every campus. So ultimately, we try and get every employee of the district to have been exposed to CRACE training. We even do CRACE training in Spanish. This year, we're also offering CRACE training to students, parents, and the public. As Captain Fontenot mentioned, first training is going to be August 29th. That's going to be at Shadow Creek High School, I believe. The second opportunity is September 6th, which will be at Alvin High School. So we are the CRACE training, civilian response to active shooter events. It's that remains the term, but it's really active attack events because it may not just be shooting events. But that is valuable training that is not doesn't provide everyone solutions to every situation, but it certainly helps educate our students, staff, and the public on what they can do. It gives them options on how they can respond should there be an active attack event. And one thing that if we were to have an active attack event on a campus, we just want to caution parents not to rush to the school. If we're rushing to the school, then the attention is taken off the mission. It's the district strives to get information out as quickly as possible, but the first priority is the safety and security of the students inside. We shouldn't be judged based on recent events that may not have been handled appropriately. But here in this district, we do respond differently. We train differently. We have a dedicated and veteran staff. That information is going to get out to the parents and the notification of the parents as quickly as possible. What we found in recent events here in our district, misinformation gets out, and that misinformation can be crippling to the first responder response. When we're dealing with managing misinformation, it slows the process and it hampers our ability to protect our students. And that will conclude my presentation.
Okay, that does conclude our entire presentation. I wanted to remind everyone you are welcome to ask questions. If you go to our Let's Chat that's on alvinisd.net and go down to the interest area and click on Parent University, you may submit a question there and we'll be glad to answer it as soon as possible. We'll get you a personal response back. We are also, there are also other ways that you can do that. You're welcome to call the school if you have specific questions about the school. Our big thing right now is, we are keeping our doors locked, and we have done that. So I'm happy to say that. And that is the number one thing that they have found in common with all of these shootings is that if their door was locked, they did not go in. And so they didn't take time to do that. So that is a huge push of ours, but it has been. And so our teachers, students, everyone is used to that. So we have taken all precautions that we possibly can, that we are aware of, and we are constantly reviewing our processes and making sure that we have done everything in our power to keep our kids as safe as possible.